Hello everyone, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and in this video, we're going to talk about a very concerning subject, and that is the future of protesting in America. And because this is such a serious topic, we're going to sit here and look at the flowers to belie the gravity of the situation. So we've all watched the protesting happening this year, and if you aren't aware of the extent to which the rioting has been going on, the amount of damage, death, injury, and destruction that is occurring, then you need to go check up on that, because it is surprising how few people are unaware of just how ridiculous some of these situations have gotten. Now, what I'm concerned about is that in the coming years, we're going to see a ban on peaceful protesting. Maybe not an outright ban, but I think that we're going to see sweeping regulation at the local and federal levels that makes it illegal for large groups of people to gather together. Perhaps that makes it so that large groups that gather together have to be screened thoroughly. Basically, I believe that we're going to see an extreme amount of regulation on the concept of gathering peacefully to protest. Now, this should concern everybody deeply, and it should outrage everybody deeply, especially because what we're seeing this year is being allowed. It is not peaceful protesting as it has always existed and as it is meant to exist. There's always been protester etiquette, no matter what people will tell you nowadays. Protesting is a part of the civil system. It is not a no holds barred, if you're angry, you get to do whatever you want. It's an expression of anger. That is not true. We see from MLK, we see from everybody who's ever protested and been respected for it, that you follow certain rules. You have organizers, you listen to what they say, they keep you from becoming an unruly demonstration or a riot. And what we've been seeing ever since Antifa has come onto the scene in the past decade and started being coddled by local governments, we see a breakdown in protest etiquette. Now, I don't see this from the Patriot side. We see that they can gather by the thousands, fully armed, and leave the area cleaner than when they found it, and leave it undamaged and nobody injured. But we also see this year that you are able to lie about anybody, about anything to anybody. And I believe that in the coming years, if it's not the conservatives putting restrictions on protesting, it'll be the left. When they gain power, or where they have power, they will be saying that we need to make sure that Trump and white supremacists never burn down our cities like they did in 2020 ever again. And if that sounds absurd to you, then ask yourself if a lot of the things that you've been hearing lately are absurd and backwards, and if anybody on the left side will or will not believe that everything that has happened this year is fully the responsibility of Trump and white supremacists, when they are told later that that is why Portland burned, that that is why Seattle has turned into a crap hole city. I think that we will fully see many people, now that Frankenstein's monster has been used and maybe put away or maybe destroys its creator, Antifa, the anarchists, these people are not part of the left. The left does not want them. They want to use them, and they hope that they can put them back in the box. And I don't think that they will be able to, being the nature of anarchists, and we're going to talk about that later. But when the left is done with the anarchists, they will want to put them back in the box, no matter what means necessary. And as they try to further infringe on rights, they definitely don't want patriots doing the same things that Antifa has been doing, burning down cities, becoming violent, and all that kind of thing. They've never allowed it from the patriots, and they won't start allowing it now. And they'll use this, perhaps in a premeditated sense, to restrict the ability for anybody besides Antifa to ever do anything like this again. In fact, to ever be able to protest even peacefully again. We saw it in Michigan when patriots gathered and caused no harm. They were still called terrorists for using, quote unquote, the threat of violence to achieve their ends, when in reality they were just a bunch of peaceful people standing there not threatening anything. We are going to see that expanded, and we've already seen the Proud Boys and various patriot groups being demonized by both sides for counter-protesting, not for attacking, simply for trying to stand there. And while I agree that election year optics may be important to people to decide when or when not to protest. I definitely believe that we are already starting to see from both sides the idea that it is dangerous for the right to protest, for the right side, for conservatives to protest, because whether or not they will commit any violence, the left may commit violence against them, and that makes a right-wing protest dangerous. We're already seeing a lot of that kind of thing, and a lot of pushback from the left blaming this all on the right and trying to make it so that the right can't even just peacefully protest and gather together, let alone, even though they don't want to, causing death and destruction in major cities. This would never be allowed. It will never be allowed. And I think that we're going to see a very severe restriction on the ability to speak out in the future because of what's going on. So that's something we need to resist. I think it's something that everybody needs to keep in mind, and never, if you are involved in a protest, never ever let it slide towards anything that can be demonized. We need to stay above board and completely respectable so that there can be no question that peacefully gathering to share your thoughts without causing death and destruction should always be acceptable. Anyways, I hope those thoughts are interesting. I hope I'm wrong about what may be coming after this, but something to think about. Hope you're all doing well, and everybody stay safe out there.